So brain rot is at an all-time high right now. Collectively, our brains have eroded to the point where all that's left is a nub, like we have been infected with a terminal case of scarlet rot, where our attention spans are the lowest they've been in years. We've had multiple meme formats go viral with a majority making no sense at all. We can't even say numbers now without somebody looking at you like you had just curb stomped a fetus in front of them. And yes, I know back in the day we had memes like Uganda Knuckles and YouTube Poops, but come on, those memes had a bit more class to them back then, and they at least lasted us till the end of the year before people got bored of them and disregarded them as cringe. Whereas now a meme only usually lasts around a week before that happens. People are addicted to the dopamine highs of brain rot so much that when they do eventually get bored from the hours of scrolling they've been doing, in which they will close the app and then immediately reopen it again as if it's been programmed into their muscle memory. We have games dedicated to it. Brain rot is even now an official word in the Oxford Dictionary, and it's gotten to the point where brain rot now has its own theme song, which is actually kind of good, and I unironically listen to it in my free time. Short form content has ultimately changed the internet and maybe even the world. Because do most of you even remember the days where short form content didn't exist? Where most people could actually sit and watch a video longer than a minute without having it on a second monitor or using another device to watch another video whilst the original video played. But chances are a small portion of you weren't alive before short form content was widespread, which worries me. Shouldn't you sperm cells be playing Roblox or something? But this all started with the Vine platform, released in 2013, and then we had Musical.ly, and then finally TikTok. And in the current days, short form content is the new craze, where there are now multiple platforms serving you up these quick boosts of dopamine. But your brain rot experience varies depending on the platform you choose to consume it on. If you choose YouTube Shorts, you are either a child that loves Mr. Beast style content, you love watching full movies or shows through multiple short clips, or you love being at least 6 months behind the current trend or meme because that's how long it takes for that thing to drip down from other platforms to eventually YouTube Shorts. If you use TikTok, you are the basic of the basic and probably post cringe on the daily, and you've maybe had a hand in attempting to cancel someone at some point because they did not share the same opinion as you on the most basic of topics. And if you use Snapchat Spotlight, you are a loser and a psychopath. But if you in fact like and use Instagram Reels, you are a dirty racist who loves second-hand live leak content on the daily.
In a world where Snickers rules the skies.
Like Zoink Scoob, I think she's got an extra chromosome. Ruh-roh, Raggy, retard.
So anyway, if you've watched any of my videos, you know how much I love my Instagram Reels. Because it is essentially the wild west of short form content, where 1 minute you can go from watching a wholesome light-hearted video, or in my case a Teto shitpost, but in the next swipe you will see a clip that has just been uploaded of a man's body being absolutely decimated by a train, and for some reason it's always in India. Like 90% of these live leak style videos are always in India for some reason. Someone even did a speedrun to see how fast you can find racist or disturbing content on Instagram Reels, and it only took about 1 minute and 7 seconds. I also just found out that it's the same guy that 2 years ago his whole thing was faking being tens. Now he's doing his own thing and doing pretty well with it, which is good to see. However, this one definitely didn't age very well. But yes, every time you go on Instagram Reels, you are basically taking a gamble, because you may get something completely normal, or you may get something that will leave you stun-locked for the next 5 minutes. There is no in-between.
I can't believe that they expect me to fight in this thing without Spotify! Now I know how the slaves must have felt!
That still doesn't mean you can say the N-word.
You shut your f***ing mouth! I'm not gonna take anything from a you.
There's actually tutorials out there now to help you avoid this type of content because it's such a big problem on the platform. But I made a video on this before, like a year ago, after the Instagram Reels incident of February 2025, where everyone's Reel feed was flooded with things like gore and disturbing content. And it got so bad that the company behind Instagram Reels, Meta, actually had to issue an apology for this supposed glitch. But anyway, towards the end of that video, I somewhat predicted that Instagram Reels would actually start cracking down on these types of posts, and that ultimately if they did do this, the platform would be dead within weeks. But in fact, I was wrong. They haven't really changed anything. It's probably only gotten worse. Where in the current day, a year later, you can see things like this quite easily. Five seconds later, this guy makes contact with something outside the train whilst he's like this, and it does not look pretty. This one I did have to blur because it's a bunch of people in a field where a number of devices are, to say the least, and one of them goes off, but I don't know if it's staged or they are just really lucky because the person affected only walks away with a limp. In this one, a bunch of people are crowded around a car, and then the car ignites, covering a large area. And the worst part about these reels, apart from the fact people are possibly being harmed in them, is the fact that the first two I showed you haven't even got any restrictions on them whatsoever. The last one admittedly does, but all of them are still on the platform and have been up for at least a week. Meaning that anyone, including those that don't want to see this type of content, or those that aren't supposed to see it, may unknowingly stumble across these videos when scrolling around.
Sussy Baka Skibbity Toilet.
This is partially why Instagram Reels and its users have such a negative reputation to this day. Well, that and the millions of posts including slurs. Most of this is primarily down to Instagram moderation just absolutely being non-existent. This platform is very much like the One Piece Grand Line of internet shitposting. I don't even know if I got that reference right, I only watched up to the first time skip. And another reason why the reputation of Instagram Reels is this way is because of something I mentioned in my previous video, which is how different this community is compared to communities like TikTok, especially in the comments, where if the same heartwarming or positive post is made on both TikTok and Instagram Reels, the comments will be vastly different. On TikTok, it'll be people probably supporting the person and the message they were trying to convey, and maybe even that they should keep doing these type of posts. But on the other hand, in the Instagram Reels comments, it's the absolute opposite, where the most kind thing being said is probably someone reminding the poster that they made a grave mistake by posting anything remotely positive expecting positivity back on this platform, because there is no positivity allowed on Instagram Reels, just racism, war crimes, and hatred for everyone but yourself. And users of Instagram Reels dedicate most of their time not only making sure people know they can't feel good about themselves on this app, but also sculpting the best Reel feed that suits them by carefully liking only the most racist of memes and nothing else, because if they like even a single wholesome or non-racist meme, it will completely destroy their algorithm to the point where they'll have to start all over again. But apart from being wrong about Instagram improving moderation and the overall graphic content of Reels getting worse, what else has changed? Well, there has been a heavy increase in AI on Instagram as of late, and not just from the Reels themselves, which most times are very questionable.
Apparently there's a new swing glitch in Glasgow. We're going to give it a bash. Just nose her in, wee bit of throttle. Right, there it is. Oh, it's pulling. Oh, here we go!
You have to be old as fuck to know that reference, by the way. But AI, or more specifically content bots, have become a bit of a problem on Instagram as of late, because they spam the most brainless and nonsensical AI slop, all with the goal to farm interactions.
What happened? Are you okay? Are you feeling tired?
At the start, these types of posts were fairly easy to spot because they would always have a caption like "Japan is creating electricity with footsteps," or "Canada is turning winter into smart energy solutions," or even "Spain is turning city borders into living lungs." But bot accounts like this used to be easy to point out because they would usually post things like this in the captions of the video. But for whatever reason, absolute brainlets who are not bots decided to take what the bots were putting into the captions and turn it into a copy pasta, so now everyone on Instagram Reels is using it and you cannot tell what is a bot anymore. Humanity at this point deserves to be wiped out. We are sabotaging ourselves at every turn. But yeah, there are a lot of AI generated things on Instagram now. They're even creating AI generated graphic footage so they can appeal to the Instagram Reels audience, I assume, which is not working. There are also some Reels I wish deep down were AI generated.
Yo, it's
Now we all know how AI isn't exactly liked by everyone, especially if it's AI generated content, and commonly even on other short form platforms, if people find a post that looks AI generated and if it isn't used in probably the worst way possible, like getting Jeffree or Diddy to do a little jiggle, if it doesn't have any of that, then most people will probably just disregard it as AI slop and promptly shit on it in the comments. However, there are exceptions to this apparently. On TikTok it's Love Island but with fruits, which I'm 100% sure it's just children watching it.
I'm so glad!
So now that dumb bitch Charita's out of the way, who knows what could happen? Watermelina low-key fine as fuck, so we chillin'.
But even though it's AI generated, it's doing numbers on the TikTok platform, and you can't see a single hate comment in the top replies like you would see in any other AI generated post. Now Instagram Reels recently got their own version of this AI content, which is vastly different than the TikTok one, and as of right now there are actually two different versions of it, which is Phoebe Chobi and Gugu Gaga.
Phoebe, 快躲开!
Baby Joby. Baby Joby.
Humanity's fucked. This trend came from another platform called Bilibili, which is why most of them are in Chinese, because that is a predominantly Chinese platform, and at least one of them is based off a character from a gacha game called Wuthering Waves, which makes sense now. But for some reason it seems to have taken over Instagram Reels and it's doing pretty well. Like, I don't know what type of phenomenon this is, but somehow these videos don't receive any hate on Reels. I don't know if the creators are just censoring the comments or something, but it seems like most people don't have a problem with this on Reels. Even though, to be honest, the average Phoebe Chobi or Gugu Gaga plot usually just revolves around a situation where they try to make you feel sorry for the characters like your normal AI slop, but it's got to the point in popularity where it's got its own live action adaptation now.
Baby Joby. Baby Joby.
Yeah, I don't really understand this trend, but that is Instagram Reels nowadays. Arguably it's gotten worse since I covered it last time, and it's got more AI now. I still think that Instagram is going to eventually crack down and enforce stricter guidelines, but the only way I think that will happen is if another February 2025-like event occurs. But I personally think, like I concluded in my previous video, if they do make it stricter, the platform may die as a result. Regardless, I still think Instagram Reels is one of the best short-form content platforms. I very much enjoy my own feed, which right now is filled with nuclear energy edits and the occasional questionable post.
And then she started barking. Now you know me, I'm a freak-ass nigga. I had no other choice but to return the bark. She was going, arr, 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 and I was going, oh, oh, oh! You feel me? I kind of had no choice but to return it, you know what I mean? What do I look like if you're calling and I'm not answering?
You just can't be Instagram Reels. But yeah, this was something I wanted to talk about today. Yes, this video is a bit different and shorter than usual, but as payment, here's something from my Reels feed.
I need to say this, but it must be said. Please do not put Pop Rocks in your foreskin. Please do not put pop rocks in your foreskin.
But yep, that's all I had to say, and bye-bye.